This is a game played between Vladimir Kramnik and Felix Levin. Now, it is white to move, and I'm sure many players would consider this move knight to b5, simply rerouting this least active piece towards the center and maybe to c3, where it will add more pressure towards this pinned knight on d5. However, there's a major drawback of bringing this knight to b5, which is the move a6. A sample line would be here, 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 and even though black cannot really trade on c3 because the queen will hang, he could just play a move like knight to c7, simply inviting a queen trade and getting to an endgame. Now, as you may notice, black is the one who has an isolated pawn on c5, so he shouldn't be the one trying to invite an endgame with white. But this is not the case in this particular position. And the reason for that is because white also has a weakness, which is this pawn on a5, which is overextended. So after trades like here, here, and even more trades like this, you can see that black is the one who is getting his knight to c6, where it will add more pressure towards this pawn on a5. And this knight on e6 is actually doing a very good job in protecting this isolated pawn on c5. So it is white's pawn who is falling first. Now, if we go back to the previous position, we'll find that it's not easy to find the best move actually. This queen is in the center, this knight is in the center, and these two rooks are all in their most active files. And even though this knight is on the rim, you don't want to bring this knight towards b5 at the moment. When it's impossible to further develop any pieces towards a better square, how should we decide the best move? So Kramnik actually found a brilliant idea in this position. Instead of considering how he can improve his pieces towards a better square, he started considering how his opponent can improve his pieces towards a better square. And the answer is actually not that obvious. Let's say it's black to play in this position. If black decides to play the move knight to e5, then after this trade and this rook trade, you see that this pawn on c5 is actually hanging. And if black decides to trade this rook, then white can simply just enjoy this beautiful file on the b file. With that being said, Kramnik in this position played the move h3, simply claiming that if I cannot improve my pieces, I won't mess them up as well. Black played the move knight to c7, inviting this queen trade, but Kramnik just played the move queen to a4. Now, instead of being patient just like Kramnik, black decides to play the move knight to a6, hoping to improve this knight towards the b4 square. But as we'll see, this improving move is actually immature for black because Kramnik had this move knight to b5. And by bringing this knight towards the b5 square now means that this pawn on a7 cannot be pushed to a6 anymore. A simple move like rook to b7 to defend this weakness would mean that this rook on c8 will be a target. So white can just play the move pawn to d4, adding more pressure to this pinned c5 pawn. Black decides to play the move queen to c6, adding a pin towards this knight, but Kramnik just played the move queen to c4, renewing this threat, which is also a fork. Now, black finally fumbled by playing the move rook to a8 because Kramnik had this beautiful move knight to d4, utilizing this pin, but also adding pressure towards this queen. The queen is sort of trapped, so knight to e5 has to be tried. But Kramnik just takes this queen and takes this pawn on a7. And as we see, this knight is hanging and this rook is hanging as well. So black is losing material, and here Felix decides to resign. Looking back at this game, I think it's pretty evident that Kramnik didn't really outplay his opponent, but rather simply didn't make any mistakes until his opponent did. Perhaps in the future, instead of thinking about how we should improve our pieces, we should also think about how we should not ruin our positions.